All right, welcome to another episode of the MMA Fight Game Podcast. We are with the co-main event of the massive card that is happening on February 23rd, 2024 at the beautiful Seneca Niagara Casino for LFA, which is Legacy Fighting Alliance, number 177. We are here with Shannon, the MMA Barbie Clark, who is currently 4-0, 3 KOs, TKOs, one decision. She is actually fighting for the vacant 125-pound flyweight title that was vacated by Sabina Mazo, who vacated the title to move up to bantamweight against another undefeated prospect in Tony Lopes, who is also 5-0. Not only is this title fight a title fight, but somebody's O's got to go. Shannon, I truly appreciate the time. I will throw it out there. The time mix-up is completely on me today. You know what happens when you assume things. I truly appreciate time and being flexible. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm a big supporter of women's sports, women's mixed martial arts. Before we got on the call, I kind of talked about women's MMA around this area here. We have a lot of rising amateur prospects that could make the jump. We have Ava Chochi, we have Victoria Cramp, Shannon Rowe, a lot of up and coming athletes. So seeing a female pair on a card as massive as this, because I did tell you before that if people want to come see you fight and they want to attend live and not watch on UFC Fight Pass on the 23rd, they got to get their tickets now, because when I looked, there was only like 5 tickets left. What does that mean to you to be in a co-main event for a female, as a female, and as for the flyweight title? What does that all mean to you?
It's amazing. I never imagined I would be in this spot, truthfully. I keep realizing how big and big this opportunity is. Like at first it's just like, oh, it's just another fight. And then as people want to do interviews, as I talk with other people, they're like, holy crap, this is actually amazing. And it's like, whoa, mind blowing. I just take it one fight at a time. And I'm pretty honored to get this opportunity.
Yeah, and Dana White has been on it. Like, if you're from Canada, obviously it seems like the UFC is making a push to find that next Canadian star. The men had a tough go at it at UFC 297 in Toronto, but there's another Canadian on top. I mean, you're like the top dog in Canadian martial arts coming up on the regional scene right now. Sierra Dunwoody is coming up. She's on your card as well. And then you have notables, Randa Marcos, Jillian Robertson. And then obviously everybody knows who Jasmine Juvicius is after her dominant performance. With a
Right.
with a win, are you looking to defend the title, or do you think that going to that next level, the UFC PFL, is what's next?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what people are going to think of me. It depends, I think, how or if I win. I mean, I think I'd be ready for either option, but I don't truly know. Like I said, I take things one at a time. So I've heard rumors that there could be maybe the next step in my near future, but honestly, I don't know. I'll see what happens after this fight, and let's hope I win.
Well, we always gotta talk positive. Obviously, at Seneca Niagara Casino, there have been some big time females that have headlined or co-main event. Obviously, you have Jacqueline Amorim, who is now in the UFC. She was the LFA champion. Alexa Davis, another Canadian fighter, she was
Yeah.
there as well. But it's a major fight. There's a lot of buzz. So we were talking. You're a mom of 2 kids. Obviously, you were a soccer player, and then the soccer player wanted to continue that competitive drive. Ran into MMA because I watched an interview that you did prior, and then I guess you weren't a fan of MMA, hated it, and then you got into kickboxing, loved the striking aspect of it.
Yeah.
So it was a lot to digest right there. How does a mom balance, like a mom and a wife, let's say, balance it?
Yeah. It's very scheduled. It's not easy because this is actually a side gig. I have a career. I own a company with my dad. We're financial
Financial
advisors.
advice. Yep.
Yeah. So and then usually it's something in the morning, or I take a lunch break, or it's right after work before I pick the kids up from daycare, or in the evenings when they're in bed, or it depends on everyone's schedule. Sometimes it's, hey, they come in the gym with me and they work out with me. Like it's a lot of scheduling. It's not easy. And as they get older, it's getting harder and harder, but I do it for right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So you co-own the business. I don't want to get into like financials, right? So
Yeah.
we talked with Jan Oliveira. Jan Oliveira is like co-headlining, maybe headlining Combat FC6 this weekend in Wilmington, Mass with Joe Cavaliero's promotion. He is a successful business owner, has a construction company. We talked to him about, how much having a successful company takes off of the financial worries of a growing prospect in MMA. He said it's massive. Does your financial job allow you not to really worry about finances? Obviously, you're married. He's married too. But does that take away like a lot of like stress? Like, because you said it was like a side hustle.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm probably the hardest person to pay after a fight. I never remember I get paid to fight. So the amount of times my last few fights, people have to track me down, and be like, hey, you're supposed to get paid. And then it's like, oh yeah, thanks. Like, it's usually the next day they're finding me. Last LFA fight, the next day they're like, hey, before you leave, like you need to get your money. And it's like, oh crap, right. Or the time before that, I fought, and then there was one more after me, and then everyone's cleaning up and the guy's still trying to track me down because I go and talk to people and I socialize, and then like, can't leave until you're paid. And it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Right, right. So no, I'm very lucky that it's not about money at all.
Yeah, does it take away the stress? Obviously, your husband has his income, you have your financial. Does that take away a lot of stress? Obviously, said you're very scheduled, but from a financial aspect, because you hear a lot of these fighters, they're working jobs like Timba, who just fought last night. He had $7 into his name when he went into the cage. What does that
Right.
mean to you not to have to worry about that?
Oh, it's a huge relief. I honestly can't imagine stressing. Like fight camps are not easy. Fights are not mentally, they're not easy for me. So I can't imagine having to have that extra stress of paying bills or feeding the family or anything like that. No, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, how did LFA find you? How did you get on their radar?
Um, I don't really know. Either they talked to my coach or my coach reached out to them. I don't really recall that one.
Okay.
I think I just remember I signed with Invicta.
Okay.
Um, And then they weren't putting me on the one card that I thought I was going to be on. So I just know that LFA offered a fight. I think we turned it down because we signed with Invicta expecting to be on their card. When we found out we weren't, I think then Joel reached back to them and was like, hey, we're actually not fighting. Invicta will let us fight with you guys. Can we get on a card? And that's and then we got put on the card. So I'm not sure who did what first, but I have a feeling they reached out. We turned them down because of the Invicta thing. And then we went back to them.
Oh, okay. And now Jewel is your manager?
No, I don't have one. Oh, Joel, sorry. He's my coach, so it's actually 50-50. We don't, whoever they talk to, it's either me or Joel.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very cool. And now, what are your expectations? Obviously, you're fighting a rising Brazilian uh,
hmm
who's 5-0. Obviously, you already know her game plan. She's had 3 arm bars. She's 5-0. What are your expectations for that night?
Um, I would be shocked if she stood with me. I think just having the background she does and the way she fights, I've never really been tested on the ground. So realistically, including myself, who knows if I can even be on the ground. So I'm more of a stander. She's on the ground. I think it's just going to be, can I keep her standing, or is she going to take me to the ground? I think, like I said, I'll be shocked if it's the opposite.
Yeah, so it's a classic striker versus grappler matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
And so obviously we know that you like the striking aspect of it. What finally like obviously we've heard the story about you liking kickboxing, hating MMA. What kind of like flipped that switch for you?
I think I just grew respect for the game.
Okay.
Um, Before I would sit in the pub with my dad and his friends sometimes, and we would bet on who's going to win the UFC. It would be like
Okay.
they would bet money. I would bet like my dad would go and get like those loony chocolates,
Yeah.
and then that would be my money because I'd be, I don't know, 18, 20 years old and I had no money and he's not going to give me money to gamble. So I would bet my chocolates and see. And that's how it used to be. So I didn't even care. It was more just about competition of winning, gambling. And then the more I grew with like the sport and just staying in shape, then it was like, you know what, this actually is really hard. Like it's not just, hey, let's go downtown and beat the crap out of each other. It's actually a sport. It's insane. So did the kickboxing, and then obviously if you want to fight, you do need to learn the ground. So that was years later that I even tried learning ground game. And then that's even harder than the stand up in my mind, right? There's so
Yeah.
much gray area. It's not really right and wrong. Whereas kickboxing, I found a lot more probably shouldn't drop your hands down here. You're going to get punched. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, it's, well, you could do this because you don't know what your partner's going to do here. And yeah, so it just grew as like a lot of learning and respect.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then obviously, we were talking, what's it like? Because you mentioned to me that you don't have a lot of female training partners. Is there it's a two-part question. So obviously training with men, does that make you better, or what's that like versus training with women? And is there a big difference there as well?
I think it has its positives and its negatives. The biggest one would be the guys I train with are so much bigger than me that doesn't matter how good or bad they are. They outwork me. Well, they try to outwork me because their strength and their length. So it's, even though I might be better than them, I can't get them off me. If they're 200 pounds, I'm not going to bench press them off me.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas, so then when it goes to a girl, like when it comes to my fight, they're so much lighter than what I'm used to. Um, but on the other hand, I don't get to work the things that I could work on against a girl my size. So if it's against a guy that's 6'6", well, I can't hold him down like in, I don't know, half guard. I can't hold him down because I'm so stretched out. I can't do certain things. Or if you want to practice even, I don't know, an arm bar, they'll bicep curl me, right? Like it's not, I can't put the pressure on them as I would against some of my size. So it has its greatness, but it also unfortunately has some downside to it. There are girls here, like there's a girl, her name's Kate. She is Muay Thai, so she's stand up, but that's not MMA. So like again, sparring would be great, but you can't do like the cage work. You don't do the ground and pound or jujitsu side with her. And then there are females here that do jujitsu, but again, that's not MMA. So it's hard. Like it's a hard balance because there's not too many. Well, I don't really know too many females at all in Lethbridge that do MMA, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or like they're getting into it. They're just not at the level sometimes in a fight camp you would need.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we talked about you going to the next level. So we talked to Don Shanis, right? Don Shanis is on the Combat FC card this weekend. And he said that, he was in Massachusetts, but he actually had to get up, get in his car, travel 27 hours and move to Vegas. Obviously, being that you co-own that business with your father, or you're involved with your father with that financial, is it potentially where you could move to get that next level where people specifically train for MMA if you get that call to say PFL or the UFC?
No, I would have to stay here. So, I mean, I could take time off and I could go, but also my family's here. My babies are here. So it would be a family vacation, I guess, to go out there, or I could go like a weekend or a few days here or there. But no, I'd have to stick around here. Yeah.
That's cool. And what does your family think of it? Obviously, your dad's a fan of it. were you competing in martial arts before you met your husband?
We actually just met the summer of my first fight camp. So he like got into it, and I even told him, I was like, it's just one fight, one and done. I just want to see if I'm good enough. And we met, and he was like, okay, sounds good. Like, of course I'll support you. And then it was like, well, maybe I just got lucky, like one more and then I'm done. And then it was like, well, like I don't know. And then it was kind of just like one thing after another. So it was a battle, don't get me wrong. Just because of how much time fight camps
Sure.
take and how busy our lives are and stuff. He's obviously, we got married, so he's on board and totally supports me. He'll actually be cornering me with Joel in this fight. But I don't think he's as worried because he sees it's like he's not as worried as my dad. Like my dad actually is. He would like cry. He would be so nervous. Him and my mom. They were so against me fighting at the very beginning because they're like, "You're my baby girl. I don't want you to get hurt and all this." And then I think as each fight comes along, everyone is getting less and less worried. Not that I'm gonna win or anything like that. Like they're that confident in me. It's more just they know what to expect. They've been through it. It's just another fight, and then life carries on, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Obviously, to be successful, you got to have that family support. If you have a
Oh
significant
yeah.
other, that significant other support. With a successful title win on February 23rd at LFA 177 at the Seneca Niagara Casino, what would be next?
I honestly don't know. Whatever people offer, we'll discuss it and see. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah. And then before we wrap this up, obviously you fight in the flyweight division. What would be your dream flyweight fight?
Oh my gosh.
I stumped you.
You did. I've never thought of that, so I really don't know. Shoot, I'm sorry,
I,
I don't
I,
know.
I can let me pull up the I'll pull up the UFC rankings right now.
Oh gosh.
I,
Okay.
I, obviously, one of my favorite fighters. I actually got to see her fight both her fights against Valentina Shevchenko. Alexa Grasso is there. You have Aaron Blanchfield. You have Macy Barber. You have Tracy Cortez. You have another Canadian. Would potentially fighting Jasmine Juvicius on another Canadian card. Rumor has it that Calgary is going to have a card soon. Would that interest you?
I think they'd all kick my ass though.
Oh,
But if
come
you're
on now.
but if you're going over that, I think it would just be cool to say you get to fight one of them. Truthfully, I would just be like, okay, well, like I'll sign the contract, say I'll fight, and then be like, okay, I'm no.
I love it. I love it. Now, before I let you go, is there anybody that you want to thank? Any sponsors? Have you found out about your event t-shirts as well?
No, I haven't. My sister's in Whitefish right now in Montana, so I can't talk to her because, Canadian American, once you're down there, you can't text exactly, so without paying. So I haven't messaged her. We do have shirts though, so whether we have them right now or eventually, I'm sure we can make some. Lethbridge Supplements, they've sponsored me and I'm very grateful to give me stuff going through the fight camp. And I just want to thank obviously my coach, Joel Odorsky, my training partners, and my family for all their support and help.
I love it, especially that 6'6", 200-pound plus training partner, right?
Oh, when he gets to my back, his name's Dave, and I'm just like, mother fudger, Dave, stop.
You got to put a picture on your social media. Him, now I'm interested. If you tag us, I'll definitely reshare that picture.
Okay.
I want to see that. 6'6"
Um,
is big UFC size too.
there's a few of them that are that big, and I look like the tiny, small little girl in there. So I'll put a picture up of the boys, and then you can see what I train with.
I love it. So there you have it. Shannon MMA Barbie Clark, obviously fighting on a massive card, February 23rd, 2024 at the legendary Seneca Niagara Casino for the flyweight 125-pound LFA title. Shannon, I truly appreciate time. I wish you nothing but the best. I think there's
Thank
going to be
you.
a lot of women and a lot of little girls out there that, you know, you may inspire out there. I look forward to seeing you fight. We will be out there. Okay.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Shannon, just sit tight. Okay.